Thanks for watching Pop Fusion Live. Today on Hot Off the Set, we chat with Cindy Busby, fan favorite from Heartland and now starring in When Hope Calls. She talks about her new role and what's next. Here's our conversation. Thank you again so much for joining us, and we're so happy to have you. And we know that you returned to our screens in April with season 2 of When Hope Calls. That's so amazing. What is it like joining such a heartfelt and faith-driven series?
Oh, it felt incredible. I mean, for me, the idea of family coming together to sit down and watch TV is so meaningful to me because that's something I did a lot growing up with my family. And so to be a part of a show that just has already such a great fan base because there was a season one like years and years ago, and then to come back as a lead of the second season was just really special. And also for it to be a period piece is like really fun and different. And yeah, it's really meaningful. And yeah, the idea that everyone can come together is what matters most to me, to create more connection within, community.
I love that so much. And your character, you play Nora Anderson. And what should audiences know about her as they dive into this season?
Well, she is a new character who comes to Brookfield, which is the name of the town, and she's looking for some family that she never knew she had. So she starts off, quite vulnerable, not knowing whether she will be accepted in this town, accepted by her family. But she learns so much in this town and she, gains so many friends and, starts working at the orphanage with children. And she doesn't have children of her own, but she's also a lawyer as well. So for her, she's such an incredible trailblazer. To be a woman who's a lawyer in 1920 is just really proves how smart, how capable, how much of a fighter she is. There was only less than 1% of women who were lawyers back then. So that says a lot about, that turning of events. In the 1920s was a really big deal. And so to be able to portray a woman of that caliber is such an incredible honor. And, I only hope that I can do her justice.
That is so awesome. I mean, she's giving like super bad ASS.
Yeah, 100%.
Without giving too much away, what are some of like the emotional or dramatic turns that we'll see from Nora this season?
Well, there's a few. Well, one of which is she meets this Mountie who's also new in town, Mountie Michael, played by the incredible Christopher Russell. So she kind of has met her match with him. They have an incredible banter together. They're, that one day will be a couple kind of, romanticism, but also like they can't stand each other, but they also can't stand not to be together. So it's a really fun dynamic to see. And then also at the end of the season, without giving anything away, for those who haven't seen it, it's because Nora is of the law, she, serves and protects the law. She finds herself in some hot water with the law herself, and no one really knows about it yet. So she finds herself in quite a cliffhanger of what will happen if people find out about this piece of news that she didn't know she was involved in.
Okay, so now I have to watch. She sounds like a really awesome character. Personally, 1920s period piece. How did you prepare to bring her to life? Were there any personal experiences that you felt like you brought to character?
Well, what I did to bring the character to life was obviously do my own research on, what was it like to live in the 1920s? So, social standards were very different. How do you compose yourself in public? How do you behave? How do women behave with men back then versus how they would now? The posture, that how do you sit? How do you eat? Like all of those things are very important. And of course, to understand the history of women being lawyers. And then what I brought to the character was, a lot of empathy, a lot of understanding as to what would it be like to be in such a scenario. So you always as much as I don't understand per se everything that Nora's been through, I have my own personal experiences that Cindy Busby has had. So, you use those as momentum along with your own research and your own character breakdown to really bring her to life. But yeah, I think her empathy, especially for the animals on the show and the children, because I had so many scenes with the orphans in the show. So that was something that I really, brought a lot of heart to and had so much fun with. And of course, always bringing comedy to everything I do is a really big deal. And Nora, surprisingly has an edge, but has softness in her heart. But she's also quite funny and quite witty, which I love.
Oh, the show's seriously blessed to have you. It sounds like honestly an amazing show with like a strong message of hope and resilience. What do you hope that audiences bring away from this season? Take away from the season, excuse me.
I really hope that, people can see that sometimes within a simpler time, like the 1920s, of course, there were different struggles than what we have now, but there is such a thing of like looking back on that time and seeing what it was like and how the simplicity of it is like a beautiful thing. And I think that we've kind of moved so far away from that that sometimes bringing more of that back into life, creating more community, getting to know your neighbors, helping each other out, lending a hand to your fellow neighbor is so important. And I think that that's the greatest thing to take away from the show is Brookfield is a really special town where all these people find themselves in, but they find so much more. They find each other and they all need each other more than ever. And I think that that as a society is what we need now more than ever is that connection. And so, whether it's 1920 or 2025, there's a lot of similarities in the narrative that I think we can all relate to.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Pop Fusion Live. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of our community that celebrates positivity, purpose, and entertainment. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at PopFusionTV for exclusive content and check out even more uplifting stories at popfusiontv.com. Bye, and we'll see you next time.